Do you remember the BMW i3 hatchback thing? Yeah. Well, it stopped playing World of Warcraft and bought a Rottweiler who can't be trusted around toddlers. It would now like to be called the BMW i4 M50. But before we dive into this review, we should learn a little bit of BMW's electric history. So, at least in the United States, BMW offered two EVs before they debuted the i4 as a 2022 model year car. The first of which is the BMW 1 Series Active E. This was the 1 Series coupe with an electric powertrain inside. This car was available only as a lease in certain states, and it was very low volume. BMW did not lease many of these cars, but it launched in late 2011 and it was a fully electric car. BMW discontinued it a little while later, and then they launched the i3, which is the small electric hatchback everyone knows and mostly loves. I think it's really cool, but some people don't share my enthusiasm. The i3 reigned as BMW's only electric car up until the 2021 model year. And as the i3 slowly disappeared like a socially awkward uncle at a family gathering, BMW made room for the i4. The BMW i4 is BMW's first fully electric sedan, and out of the gate, it was really good. So BMW eventually offered 4 trim levels of the i4, and you could get it in several flavors. There was eDrive 35, that was the base model, which launched as a 2023 model year, the eDrive 40, which is the longest range version, the xDrive 40, which is the all-wheel drive version with the larger battery pack, and the M50, which is the performance version. The eDrive 35 comes with a 70.2 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is good for a range of around 250 to 270 miles, depending on your wheel size. Then all other models get the larger battery pack. This is an 83.9 kilowatt hour pack, and of which around 81.5 kilowatt hours are usable. For the 2022 model year, if you get an eDrive 40, you get 301 miles of range. If you get the M50, the range gets knocked down to around 270 miles. And if you get the M50 with the larger 20-inch wheels and the performance tires, your range goes all the way down to 227 miles. But I want to be clear, the BMW i4 tends to get pretty good range in real-world scenarios, and just like the Porsche Taycan, these range numbers are a lot more conservative than, say, a Tesla of the same model year. As for power, the base eDrive 35 version makes 282 horsepower, which is good for a 0 to 60 time in the mid 5-second range. The eDrive 40 makes 335 horsepower, good for 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds. There's also the xDrive 40, which makes 396 horsepower, and then the M50, like this one right behind me, makes 536 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque. This thing can launch to 60 in the mid 3-second range. And the BMW i4 was one of the first EVs to truly challenge the Tesla Model 3's dominance. It offers impressive range, great performance, and a package that's just different. It combines BMW's expertise of making satisfying to drive cars with impressive EV tech underneath. But to make this possible, BMW had to pull a few tricks out of its sleeve. And if we look at the BMW i4, we'll notice that this car doesn't look like a traditional EV. So we get this long sweeping hood up front, and this overall nice teardrop shape tapering off at the rear. But what's interesting is the BMW i4 doesn't use a bespoke EV platform. Rather, it uses BMW's CLAR platform, which underpins a lot of other BMW products like the 3 Series and gas-powered 4 Series. And this platform can use both EV or internal combustion powertrains. And so what does this mean? Well, the first thing is, if we pop the hood, we don't get a front trunk. Now, if we have the gas-powered 4 Series, obviously the engine will be up here. So if we pull off this plastic layer, we will see a bunch of electronic components in here. So we have our inverter, onboard charger, front drive unit, etc. So we have a lot of EV components underneath here. Now what's funny is if we get the eDrive 40 or eDrive 35, we will actually have a pretty big hole in here where that front drive unit would be. And some aftermarket websites actually sell a tray liner that you can put in here to give yourself a front trunk. Now, utilizing the shared platform also has two other effects. The first one is that we're living in a simulation, and the second one is that we get a transmission hump in the back seats. This transmission hump makes the experience not so great if you're sitting in the middle seat. So if you have like a Tesla Model 3, you'll have a flat area on the rear floor. But in this car, you gotta put your legs on either side. And since we're in San Francisco, people get really mad when you man spread, so this is just a recipe for disaster. And as I'm in the back seats, we can now talk about the backseat interior quality. So, first off, it is a little cramped in here. This is not a very spacious cabin. This car is 188.5 inches long, which is a little longer than a Tesla Model 3, but since we have such a large hood, we don't really get that much space on the inside. The materials back here are pretty decent. We have this black headliner material, which feels decently soft. We have soft touch on the doors, this nice aluminum material here, leather on the doors, and then we get some plastic down low. Now, if you notice, this is brown leather interior, and this is called the Mocha package. Now, the Mocha seating material is made out of Vernasca leather and costs $1,500, but you need to get the premium package, which is $950 as a prerequisite. So effectively, this interior option costs $2,450. Now, this leather material has nice stitching. Do I think this was worth $2,450 new? Not really, but if you want leather and you're looking for one used, just try to find some with that leather package added. And the rear seats actually come with a decent amount of features. So we get controls back here so we can control our air conditioning speed, and we also have vents up here so we get wind. As a supporter of wind for the rear seats, this makes me happy. We also get two USB-C ports down there and a center armrest with two cup holders. The front seats get even better. So we have this cool M dorsal guard right over there, and the materials are pretty decent. So we get this nice open pore wood right here, this rubberized material on the dashboard, and this rubberized material which kind of extends down to here. It's not very soft touch, but it's better than hard plastic. The seats are quite comfortable, and since we have the premium package added on, we get lumbar here and heated seats. And yes, I know what that means. The i4 didn't come in standard with heated seats. That's a bit of a red flag. But what doesn't suck is that since we have this Mocha interior added, now we can get the ventilated seats. So you can only get ventilated seats on the i4 if you had either the black or Mocha Vernasca leather. And the ventilated seats make such a difference in this car. With the standard Sensitech seats, you'll be sweating like a hooker in church on hot days. With the ventilation, it makes this car much more comfortable to ride in. Another thing helping out on hot days is the power opening sunroof, and that comes as standard in all BMW i4s. And things get even better when we get into the driver's seat. Now, first off, this car has flush door handles, but to open them, we just pull up there. And interestingly, these are actually mechanical door handles. So this is not like an electronic popper mechanism like in a Model 3's doors or some other EVs. And what's also interesting is these windows are frameless. Frameless windows are one of those features that we can't quite put our fingers on, but it does subconsciously make the car feel sportier. It's one thing that kind of lacks in the Polestar 2, because you get inside and you just don't get that quite sporty feel that you do in the BMW i4. And I think it's because of the frameless windows. Once you've situated yourself into the driver's seat, you'll be pleased to feel that the seats are pretty bolstered. So you got a decent amount of bolstering, and once again, these are ventilated. You also get thigh supports here, and BMW does a pretty good job of keeping you comfortable on the inside. When you reach for the steering wheel, you'll feel that it's leather wrapped, and you have a cool M coloring stitching on the steering wheel. That's a really nice touch. Once again, since this has a premium package, we get a heated steering wheel. The door panel is pretty cool as well. You have this rubberized material up here, aluminum, Vernasca leather, and these giant speaker grills. Now, this car is equipped with the Harman Kardon sound package, which was $875 when new. And this sound system is incredible. The Harman Kardon sound system has plenty of bass and sounds incredible throughout any music genre. I've listened to classical, rap, pop, EDM, pretty much everything, and the Harman Kardon sound system really delivers. It's one of my favorite branded audio systems. It's way better than the stock audio system. So this car's standard comes with a 10 speaker, 205 watt unbranded audio system, and it really sounds a little disappointing, but this Harman Kardon sound system takes it up to a whole new level. So if you're an audiophile, I really recommend finding one with the HK sound system. To turn on the BMW i4, you simply put your foot on the brake and press the start-stop button right there. What you'll first notice is that this car has a traditional looking drive selector, and you pull it back for drive, you push it to the left after you've pulled it down to go into B mode, this is the regen braking mode, and to go up for reverse. Newer model year BMW i4s just have a little lever right here, and if you get the older ones, you have this big knob right here. I honestly kind of like this bigger knob because it feels like you're actually doing something when you're switching from drive or reverse. To the right of the steering wheel, we have our iDrive selector, and this car is running iDrive 8. When you get to the main home screen of the iDrive 8 system, we'll see a few of our key apps. So first off, we have our maps, which we'll get to in a second, Apple CarPlay, if we have that connection, personal assistant, weather, traffic, my BMW screen, and our route preview. My favorite one, though, is the personal assistant. So check this out. We press the mic here. Roll down the passenger window.
Okay, I will open the front passenger window.
Our My BMW screen will show us a 3D model of our car, so we can actually look around it, pinch to zoom in, zoom out, and we can be scored on our anticipation and acceleration. Now this is because we have the car in Eco Pro mode. If we move to comfort mode, we will see different stuff on the screen. So we will just see our mileage and the total energy expenditure of our car. And if we go to sport mode, we can actually see our instantaneous power output and horsepower, our torque, the RPM of the electric motor, and the battery temperature. Similarly, the color scheme changes depending on our drive mode. So once again, if we go from sport mode to comfort, we get a different color palette, and Eco Pro, different as well. But the map is actually pretty intuitive. So if we click on the map, start our search, we can quickly type in where we want to go. So let's say we want to go to San Diego. The location will pop up. We click there and then press start guidance. The car will then show us our entire route with the charging stops we need to make. So right here we have two 23-minute stops and then one 17-minute one. This isn't bad at all. And what's really cool is this prioritizes us to get to the charging stations with really low states of charge. So like 10% right there for the Rivian and EVgo. This means we'll charge a lot faster because we're getting into the station with a very low state of charge. And to be totally honest, from a legacy automaker, this is one of the best EV route planners. This shows us exactly everything we need to know, mileage, percentage, and maybe time, but for some reason the car doesn't know what time it is right now. So if we did know the time, it would be able to tell us what time we need to get to the stations at. But this is a very intuitive system and very easy to read and navigate. Some car route planners are terrible, and some cars like the new Toyota BZ4X don't even have a route planner in them. This car also has some additional apps that you won't normally get in an i4, which is the drive recorder. So that is one really cool thing. So this car basically has a dash cam built into the car. You'll just need to start recording. It's not quite as good as like Tesla's Sentry mode or drive recorder there, because this one you will need to manually activate before you drive. And we also have a digital key too, so we can use our phone as a key, and interior lighting. So this car with the premium package has ambient lighting, and we can choose the color of ambient lighting we want. Let's go with Pearl. Overall, BMW's iDrive 8 works out great in the BMW i4. We have intelligent EV route planning, we have wireless Apple CarPlay, and we have a handy personal assistant. What's also nice is we have the scroll wheel down here and these other buttons, so we don't have to physically touch the screen. We can just use this little knob down here to control it while we're driving. This makes the driving experience a lot safer. We also have this cool central gauge cluster right here, where we can see our speed on the left and our power output on the right. And this changes based on our drive mode. So right now we're in Eco Pro, we go to Comfort and we get that color, and we can go to Sport and it looks the most aggressive. We can also do a lot of customization too. So if we press on the steering wheel, we have these three dots. We can actually change the content and layout of the screen. So right now we have our G-force meter right there, but we can change that to music if we want to. We can also change that to our map. We can also change this to our driver assistance view, efficiency, and many more. And then on top of that, say we want to choose one. So let's say we go to this driver assistance view. Then we can go to layout so we can have it look really different. And this is really nice. We have a lot of customization. So if you get in someone else's i4, theirs might look a lot different than yours. We also have a head-up display because this has the optional head-up display added, which was an $1,000 option at the time. But if we look up here, we can adjust that and we can have everything from our navigation to power output shown there too. And as you can see, we can see our vehicle speed too. The interior also features 2 hidden cup holders, a wireless charging pad, which was $200 by the way, a USB-A lame port right there, and what we also get underneath the center console is another USB-C port. And the final really cool feature of the interior is the really nice 360 camera. So we have our rear camera right there and our 3D view right here. And so this, you can choose angles to look around the car, and it looks really, really good. I'd say this looks a little bit better than even Audi's 3D camera system. This is not bad at all. And I know what you're asking, what is that backup assistant button there? So you press backup assistant, and this car can actually remember the way you parked into a parking spot. So now I put the car into reverse right there, and I let go of the steering wheel. We get 2 flashing lights, so the car lets us know that it's in control, and it will start backing up the way we pulled in. It's pretty cool. But before we get too excited, this requires a package, the parking assistant package, which was $700. And now we can move on to my favorite topic of the episode, which is charging. So the BMW i4 eDrive 40, xDrive 40, and M50, like this one right here, all have a total battery capacity of 83.9 kilowatt hours. These cars have an AC charging speed of around 11 kilowatts, and that's good for a 0 to full time in around 8 hours when you're charging at your house. Out on the road, like at this Electrify America station, the i4 has a peak charge rate of 205 kilowatts. It has a pretty decent charge curve, and that gives us a 10 to 80% charge time of just 31 minutes. For comparison, some other performance EVs like the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT take around 40 minutes to go that same percentage. The BMW i4 can also work with Tesla superchargers, though you will need an adapter, or if you're lucky enough, you can find a Magic Dock location. But overall, the BMW i4 has pretty good charging specs. Nothing too crazy, but with its 270-mile EPA range, you can go quite far before needing to recharge. All right, driving the BMW i4 M50. So first and foremost, there are 3 main drive modes, which are Eco Pro, Comfort, and Sport. Basically, this just adjusts the throttle mapping of the car. So for an Eco Pro mode, it's more relaxed. Comfort is a little more responsive, and then Sport mode is the most responsive. We also have adaptive dampers on this car, so when we're in Sport mode, the ride gets stiffened up a little bit. When we also throw it into either Comfort or Sport mode, we actually get some artificial sound. Now, this sound was actually composed by Hans Zimmer, and he's the guy who did the soundtrack for Interstellar, Inception, Dark Knight Rises, a bunch of other incredible movies. Especially when we're cutting through corners and we can hear that Hans Zimmer sound, it feels so cool in this car. There's really a sense of occasion when you press on the accelerator. And when you press on the accelerator, this thing is so quick. So left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. We're in Sport mode. That is fast. So sure, there's faster EVs out there, right? You can get a Tesla Model S Plaid, 1,000 horsepower. Once you're in the mid 3-second range, it is just so fast. I don't see why you really need anything that much faster. Now sure, those cars are very exciting, but this car is plenty. At 536 horsepower, this car would defeat most supercars from the mid-2000s. I think one of the really nice attributes on this car too is the steering feel. This car has pretty responsive steering, but it feels also pretty natural. The BMW i4 blends great straight line performance with excellent handling and steering. This EV just feels like a performance car. It's exactly what you think an electric BMW would drive like. This car is honestly so much fun to drive. And another thing that contributes to this is the motor setup. So we have 255 horsepower up front and 308 rear. So we have that rear bias. So when you are going through corners and you do give it some juice, you do get that rear end that wants to slip out. I really like that. Now, when we get onto the highway, the BMW i4 really shines if you have the driver assistance package added. Now, this package was $1,700, but it has some really cool functionality. Now, when you're on the highway, we can activate lane centering and adaptive cruise control. So, once the car sees the lanes and that green steering wheel light illuminates, we can take our hands off the wheel. Now, this car will steer itself on the highway for about 10 seconds at a time, then it will require you to put your hands back on. Now, once we're under 40 miles per hour, we can activate Assisted Driving Plus. Now, this feature is totally hands-free, so I can take my hands completely off the wheel, and as long as we don't go over 40 miles per hour, my hands don't need to be on the wheel. So as long as I'm looking forward, it will keep going. Now, if you get the latest model year BMW i4, you actually can do this up to 85 miles per hour. It's called Highway Driver Assistant. And regardless of your driving speed, the BMW i4 can make automatic lane changes. So if we're in Assist or Assist Plus, all we do is press lightly on the turn signal. But if you do not get this package, the base BMW i4 does not even come with adaptive cruise control. So if you find one without that package, you're gonna be stuck driving like a normal person who goes to Whole Foods. So now, if you're considering a used BMW i4, which features should you look for? So, since BMW does most of their options a la carte off the menu, I had to write down exactly what this car had. So, this is a 2022 M50, and when it was brand new, the base version was $66,895, around $67,000. Now, this car has the wireless charging pad, which is $200, the mocha leather interior, which is $1,500, the ventilated seats, which were $500, $875 for the Harman Kardon sound system, $2,400 for the M Sport package, which includes these black accents on the side, $1,000 for the heads-up display, $550 for the mineral white metallic paint, and $950 for the premium package, which includes the ambient lighting, lumbar, heated front seats, and heated steering wheel. All those options sum the BMW i4's price up to $74,870. But the really cool thing is, right now, you can find a used i4 M50 like this one right here for in the low $40,000 range. In fact, this one is priced at just $42,000 with only 41,000 miles on the odometer. This car lost around $32,000 in value over the past 3 years, which honestly isn't that terrible. Some EVs have depreciated a lot more, like the Mercedes EQS. What's funny is the Mercedes EQS started at around $104,000, and today you can actually get those for less money than used BMW i4 M50s. So honestly, the BMW i4 M50 has depreciated a decent amount, but some cars have depreciated significantly more. And that's that. The BMW i4 is just a fun car with great technology. And if you're looking for something in the $40,000 price range that has supercar beating straight line performance and pretty cool looks, the BMW i4 should definitely be on your short list. Thanks for watching.